the JORDAYLA ship has sailed. If we're gonna use a name, y'all, we might as well use Jayla. But okay, I hate that for them. Spencer and Olivia are hanging on by the thinnest of thin ass threads. And Grace is getting her fairy tale happy ending with her perfect guy. What's good, y'all? It's your good sis, Erica Vane, coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with another All-American video. And I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm sorry, not sorry in advance for my energy in this video when we break down episode 20, because that's what we're doing in this video. And the rage that you will probably hear coming through your speakers, percolating in your ears, because I'm upset. I'm upset. But some housekeeping to start with. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Though All American has come to a season finale, season 4 ended last night, I still have tons of All American content on the channel, as well as conversations about All American coming in the future, and you do not want to miss out on it. You should join the tribe by hitting subscribe. Also, don't hit subscribe if you're raggedy. Don't hit subscribe if you are a super passive watcher who is only here for the looks, giggles, and the kisses. Do not hit subscribe if you have nothing to add to a conversation other than I ship who I ship and that's it. They're just so cute together. Because this content ain't for you. This content is for the people with a little bit of depth. This content is for people who want to have real conversations. This content is for people who feel like they can't have conversations around pop culture, entertainment, film, and television with people in their day-to-day lives, because nobody gets it as much as your good sis is going to get it in all of the dope subbies and tribe members within her community. So if that sounds like it's you, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like while you're at it. Buckle up, check in, because we want to go through the debacle that was episode 20 of All American season 4. Now, I want to go ahead and start this off on a positive note and talk about one of my favorite things of the entire episode. Yes, I said one of my favorite things of the entire episode. For the most part, I was deeply disappointed and utterly hysterical, borderlining unhinged for various moments, most of the moments of the episode. However, when we got to see Mr. Carter shucking and jiving and going to go ask for Dillon and Spencer's blessing on proposing to their mama, when we get to see Carter arriving at the house, so nervous, and just, you could see the physical tension that he was holding behind this huge question that he wanted to pop. You could feel the visceral tension of like, he really wants her to say yes. He really wants this to work, and he don't care what he got to do to make it work and to make Miss Grace an honest woman. I love the dialogue. I love how the actor who plays Carter played it. Everything felt very, very organic and authentic, and for the most part, we got the proposal that both Grace and we deserve. I have been waiting for this proposal for a while. I hate that we had to get it in the season finale, but hey, we finally got it. Now, the only thing that this great moment brings concern to me for is because I'm nervous of if this means that Grace will be exiting the show. Are Grace and Dillon no longer going to be on All American as they prepare to move up north with Carter as he pursues his political endeavors in Northern California? While I get it, and I think that it would make for an interesting storyline to have Grace no longer in the picture and being one less person that Spencer can go to when he is in a time in a season of his life where he really has to discover who he is and really reinforce the man that he wants to be, and needs to do so on his own more so. It would make sense to, pull his mom out of the picture. I love Karimah on the show. And I think that she adds such beautiful, nuanced mama brilliance. And we know that Dillon, or the actor who plays Dillon, is booked and busy, child. So it was only a matter of time before he was going to exit if they weren't able to make him a bigger, more viable part of the storylines happening on the show. So that's the only thing I'm very, very concerned about, if we're not going to see Grace, Carter, and Dillon next season, or if we see them, is it just going to be for 1 or 2 episodes? I don't have any insight on that. I would love to know your thoughts, or what you would love to see from, this version of Grace's family and how they're going to grow. Would Grace have additional kids? Like, that's a whole other thing, and I would totally be here for it. Let me know your thoughts. The other thing that I was actually very, very excited for were the initial conversations between Coop and Patience. I think watching last episode, them connect and be in such a positive place after we spent so much time with Coop throwing her life away, with Coop having nothing to live for, with Coop being down on herself, with Coop being depressed, like with all of this negative energy surrounding Coop. But now that she is more invigorated about life, she is excited, she has something that she's looking forward to with her working with Laura and getting exposed more to the legal field. It has just really revitalized her in a way that is beautiful and definitely attractive. We talked about this in the last episode breakdown. That is something that is piquing Patience's interest. And watching them navigate this, watching them talk and communicate honestly and openly at the top of the episode, I absolutely loved. And what I will say is I don't actually hate how it ended. I really just kind of hate that Coop was the one to say the things that she said, because I've always felt like Patience should have been the one to break up with Coop, because Coop to me was the biggest Achilles heel for their relationship. She was the one holding them both back. She was the one getting them both of their way. She was the one creating additional tension for both of them. And for a while, I really wanted Patience to be the one to be like, you know what, this is actually just not working out in this way, and I'm going to have to take a step back because you don't even have anything that you're living for. You don't have anything that you're working for. You don't have anything going on. And no matter how much I try to pour into you or to help you or to uplift you, you are in a place right now where it's only going to take you being able to do those things for yourself and you finding a reason and a will to live, as we saw play out. But this is something that Patience did not say. In this episode, Coop, runs to go tell Sky about her intimacy with Patience the night before. And when I tell y'all, I cackled at the thought, because one, you and Sky are not in a relationship. Two, you have yet to have time and process on your own what that actually meant. So while I understand what Sky is saying, but she's also biased because she wants to be your next and Patience is your ex. So of course she's going to communicate how horribly wrong this is. What Sky doesn't have is the insight to all of the work that Patience has put into y'all's relationship, to all the patience that Patience has had with you throughout y'all's relationship, and how Patience has been a big part of the little bit of growth that we've seen you have over this bit of time. The biggest missing piece for Coop was her having a will to live or a want to live or a drive to do something. Had she had that while she was in the relationship with Patience, they would not have had a bad relationship. They would have been in a very healthy, beautiful place. So I don't think that it's outside the realm of possibility, or it should be something that's put in this little weird place of like, never go back there, as if Patience was a toxic or unhealthy partner in their relationship. Now that Coop has finally cultivated the one missing piece that would have made them set up to continue to be a healthy relationship. And while I get Coop listening to Sky say this and her feeling it, her going on this whole big old spill about how she can't go backwards, and going back to Patience would be like her going backwards. It's like, no girl, it actually would be like you righting your wrongs and going forward, because where you were at when you were in a relationship with Patience, she should have been dropped your ass like a hot potato to begin with. But because she loved, because she cared, because she had so much grace and adoration for you, she maintained that thing way longer than it should have been. I personally do believe that had Coop gotten back together with Patience in the space that she's in now, with this new leash on life that she has now, it would not have been a regression for her. It would not have been her going back. It would have been another step propelling her forward, because she was able to address all of her mistakes and missteps from the past and correct them in a way that's tangible to the people that she hurt, that she loved, and then go forth and do better by showing. Her going forth and doing better in a new relationship with like Sky or anybody else, to me, doesn't really drive home the fact that you've actually changed, or that you've actually addressed all of your areas of concern. Going back and healing and potentially fixing and renewing the bridges that you burnt that were still very much so there, for feelings that are still very much so there, would be a bigger play to me in reference to speaking to her progression. And I would love to know y'all's thoughts on that, because I get how people can say like going back to your ex is definitely going back. I just think that it's nuanced in reference to Patience and Coop, and it doesn't necessarily apply in this way. Let me know your thoughts. And it also to me would be a different story if Coop was no longer interested in Patience. It's one thing to not be interested in her in the same way, not love her the same way, and then go back to her. That would be regressing. But you literally still want this girl, and to me, you're making the decision to not go back because of what it will look like, which is whack. Now, also in this episode, we get a moment where Laura gets to check Billy for his ego and his narcissism because he's coming after Coach Garrett after Garrett decides to allow Wade to still play after he swats the crew. 100% Billy should definitely have smoke for Garrett, but when Laura said, are you concerned about your boys and this coach, or are you just trying to be the most important coach in their life or the most important coach they've ever had? It's very much so given that. And honestly, there was such a huge mirror being held up by Billy for Olivia in this episode. They operated so similarly, and while they have great intentions, while they have love in their hearts, and that's part of the reason that's driving them to do the things that they're doing, they also are heavily steeped in their damn ego. They both are being very, very selfish. They're being very, very self-centered, and I'm annoyed with it, honestly. Billy, I think, is going to find a way to become Spencer and Jordan's coach again, and I hate that for them. The fact that we just spent this whole season with him fighting to become principal, and then next season I truly believe we're going to see him trying to wiggle his way out of it so he can get his ass back into a coaching position or get onto the GAU coaching position, and it's just going to be like, we did all of this for what? Principaling was supposed to mean this big thing for you. It's your next chapter. It was going to be the thing that really aligns with who you want to be as a man, yet and still this is what we get in the final episode. You just have to oust Garrett. And while I don't trust Garrett, let's be clear, I do not trust Garrett. That head coach has really definitely taken a turn, and with them alluding to him having secrets and Wade wanting to bring him down while he is also going down, I'm like, okay, cool. Shady business in collegiate football. Shocking. Not really. It happens. I think that there is just different ways to handle different things, and I don't necessarily believe that Billy is about to go about this the right way, the same way that Olivia is not and has not been going about her stories in the way that she is exacting herself in this moment in time in the right way. So with that said, let's talk about Olivia Baker. If y'all missed it, I definitely went live last night and I was completely unhinged in my after show. And I'm not sorry about it. I exposed every last one of my feelings and my thoughts, and I gave it to you exactly how I was feeling it and how I was thinking it. And I cannot think of anything else aside from disappointment and rage when it comes to Olivia Baker. For us to get a beautiful, nuanced wallflower that was regrettably forgotten and overlooked in season 1 with all of this beautiful but potential and artistic talent and emotional awareness and empathy, to now arrive at season 4 and we get this chaotic, selfish, narcissistic, entitled, biracial rich kid. It's I don't understand how we got here. We have fallen so very far. And I am exiting season 4 with the statement and the belief that Olivia is one of the villains of this show. I have no idea how we got here. I have no idea why we got here, but we literally went from having the number 1 victim in the series become villain number 1. And I am freaking bamboozled by the thought. SPELIVIA is not given what it was supposed to give. And if this is what they had in mind, they could have kept it. I get that so many of y'all are in love with the idea of Spencer and Olivia and SPELIVIA and it finally coming together and the slow burn and cook of it all. The slow cooker is broke. The slow cooker is broke. This relationship is completely undercooked and underdeveloped. Plenty of y'all are saying that they were not rushed. This is very much so given that they were rushed. I hate the idea that they are in a relationship at this point in their life because they are not ready for one another. And it's going to destroy the possibility of them being this so-called endgame that everybody wants them to cling to. I would never wish for Spencer to be subjected to, for the rest of his life, the amount of dismissal, the amount of narcissism, the amount of selfishness, the amount of lack of apologetic vibes, even like at a very bare minimum. She doesn't even apologize for anything, and it's so annoying watching her constantly have attitudes with Spencer about stuff that she don't have a reason to have an attitude with him about. Spencer has done nothing to Olivia this entire season. Meanwhile, we continue to watch her spiral and fake hold him accountable for not validating her intuition and her thoughts and her feelings, when at the end of the day, you're still 2 separate people with 2 different beliefs. And if you need someone to validate every single thought, feeling, and intuition that you cultivate on any given day, then baby, you need to go ahead and talk to Nurse Joy and or a therapist, because you need help being able to validate yourself. Her feeling that Spencer makes her question herself, and that's a negative thing, is a problem for their relationship. And ultimately, it's a problem for me, because she needs to question herself more. Questioning yourself is not a problem, especially if it creates thought-provoking dialogue that helps you get to the bottom of why you're doing the things that you want to do. I am seeing all across the fandom on various digital platforms how people are saying Olivia has a job to do. She's a journalist, she's this and she's that, and she has to do this. Why? Nobody's asking the question why. Why this story? Why now? Why knowing all of the consequences that come with pursuing this in the way that you're doing it? Why do it in the way that you're doing it? So aside from just not wanting her to write the stories, right? Because I'm not even saying that. I would love to see whatever the internal dialogue is for Olivia of why she arrives at the places that she does, versus just chalking it up to, oh, it's my intuition. To me, her using the word of intuition is what is excusing her from any deeper thought into trying to better understand herself and why she does the things that she does. For Olivia to speak the way that she has about needing to grow and change and not be stuck in being this person or being that and feeling caged and having to pretend, girl, you're fighting for a version of yourself, or to protect a version of yourself that you don't even know well. And I say that because she doesn't ask herself why. And when she is presented with needing to ask herself why, she resents it. Does Spencer make her question herself? I do. I believe 100% he makes her question herself, because it's not just ever surface when it's Spencer. And there are people who are like that. I am very much so like that. If you tell me that you're feeling a certain way, I'm going to ask you why. I'm going to ask you what triggered it. I'm going to ask you what provoked it. I'm going to ask you about how certain feelings are manifesting. I'm going to ask you some deeper understanding so that we can get a full 360 view of whatever this feeling, whatever this thought, whatever this intuition is, so that we can better attack, like, how to progress forward. How do we continue to amplify it? If it's a negative emotion, how do we handle and release it? But just saying my intuition told me this and letting it go and not doing any type of internal dialogue or talk around the why or the how or any of the feelings, it's foolish. It's foolish. It's childish. And enough is enough. I spent a good deal of last season dealing with a ton of trolls who were utterly convinced that I did not like Olivia. I promised myself that the moment that I did not like Olivia Baker anymore, I would be open and honest the same way that I'm open and honest about everybody that I talk about in any of the series that I discuss. This is the moment that I no longer like Olivia Baker as a character. Samantha Logan, love you down. You're doing a phenomenal job, girl, especially with the material that you have been given. But Olivia Baker, I'm good on. Olivia Baker, I can't root for anymore. I can't get behind, because she's going on these martyrdom missions to nowhere. And it's seeming like the missions that she's choosing have some type of intentionality to hurt the people that she loves, because she continues to choose those. And this is not even trying to have a deep conversation about, should she write the article about Wade? Shouldn't she? Should she write the article about the coach, or shouldn't she? It's also in how she's handling all of these things. The same people who are pointing to Olivia's need to lean into her journalistic duties are completely avoiding the fact that she's borderline crossing ethics guidelines, in the fact that she's doing an article, or she's doing multiple articles about a coach who coaches her boyfriend whom she's sleeping with and her brother. It encroaches upon and crosses ethical guidelines when the fact of your lead evidence for the beginning of this article came from a personal conversation from your brother, who had not yet confirmed that he was even going to be a source for this story that you manufactured. Whether the story is there or not, there's so many things that create a conflict of interest for her that she completely ignores and or hides. I cannot get behind that, especially given her history and her addictive personality. It is creating a perfect storm for further disaster, and not just for getting the program shut down, not just for getting the coach fired, not just for compromising Spencer and Jordan's newly found notoriety and great standing on this team is creating a perfect storm for another relapse. Olivia has done a few things this season, and one of which has been her showing how she is emotionally ill-equipped to handle the life circumstances and some of the emotions that come with them this season. I cannot root for her continuing to barrel down a path that is going to put her in a place to reconsider her sobriety, that's going to put her in a place that doesn't keep her mentally healthy and strong, that's going to put her in a place that keeps her focused on the worries of the world versus the day-to-day struggle that she has in her own personal lived experiences. I would be all for Olivia on this journalism journey had I felt like it was a career choice or interest pursuit that could support her life of sobriety, that could support her being able to find power in her voice and her perspective by speaking to the experiences that she has experienced. Olivia, you have released body cam footage from the police of an active investigation where they did some up stuff and your mama was DA. Why haven't you written about that? You have firsthand experience on how you went from popping pills to now taking alcohol, and you could walk people through a firsthand look at addiction and how it progresses and some of your triggers, but you ain't wrote about that. You have fallen in love with your best friend, who at the time also was cultivating and building a relationship with your other best friend. And you have a firsthand perspective on a messy love triangle that hurt a lot of hearts that were involved, but ultimately you hope arrives at success at the end. Why can't you write about that? Why can't you write about your biracial experience in life? Why can't you write about feeling removed from your blackness all up until your junior year in high school? Why can't you write about your experience with a white mom and a black dad? Why can't you write about your experience of being a twin but feeling completely removed from that person and not supported by that person for most of your life up until a year ago? Of all the titillating topics to bring up and to discuss, we completely avoid the first person POV things that could also be very therapeutic and or cathartic for you, but deep dive into situations, into stories, into circumstances that will have little to no effect on your person regardless of the fallout, but could completely destroy the people that you so-called love. And y'all want me to get behind that? It's a hell no for me. It's a complete and utter hell no. As I said, Olivia has officially entered her villain era, and this is where I get off of the train. Spencer James, it's your turn. Step into the light, Caroline, because enough is enough. There is no amount of love in the world that should keep you in a relationship that is borderlining abuse. The way that Spencer has to repeatedly apologize and placate to Olivia in their relationship is unhealthy, and it is toxic. SPELIVIA has risen to the level of toxic, and it's no amount of nothing that nobody can tell me that's going to convince me otherwise. Watching this episode, it literally just showed how Spencer is fighting for a relationship that one, Olivia don't want anymore or don't actually see value in, and two, that I'm not even convinced that he knows that he wants it. I think that Spencer is only fighting because all he knows is fighting. He's always fighting for something. But every now and again, Spencer, you need to let it go. Aside from the sex, which I'm assuming that y'all are still having, but they have slowed up and showing it to us, what is Spencer getting from this relationship? Besides strife, besides struggle, besides having to pull Olivia along. Because when they have a conversation about being open and honest, she continues to hide things and shut the computer. When they have a conversation about being open and honest and Spencer shares his perspective, she gets resentful for it and then wants to play the, oh, I guess I can't understand because I'm from Beverly Hills card. When y'all have a conversation about being open and honest, you look at that man in his face and say, people are pretending one day out the year, but what about people who have been pretending every other day? Girl, what in the hell does that even mean in this circumstance? We have yet to get clarity about that. And Spencer, you're still fighting? You think she needs space, so you're gonna give her space? You think she wants this, so you're gonna give her this? For what? What are we doing? Spencer started out this game rough, and I hate the idea of putting this on her. But when I went back and rewatched it, Spencer started the homecoming game off rough because he looked over in the stands and Olivia wasn't there. That needs to tell you something, Spencer. She's in your mental in a way that's not helpful for you. That's not progressive for you and your goals. You need to let it go. This relationship is not working for either one of you. The top of the season, Spencer is getting criticized by Olivia because she's changing. By the end of the season, Olivia has changed, and now she feels like she got to pretend to act like she didn't change. Clearly, y'all are both trying to be people that are not necessarily aligned with who you were leaving high school. Let it go. Y'all were better off as friends. You should have remained friends. Because for whatever reason, the moment that y'all got into this relationship, now all of a sudden that means that Spencer can't actually tell you the complete and honest truth, can't reveal to you exactly how he feels, because now relationship Spencer and relationship Olivia can't actually handle Spencer's unadulterated feelings about not being heard, not being seen, or you focusing on something based on a feeling of jealousy versus any other altruistic motives. Honestly, it's tired and it's raggedy, and I was one of the people at one point that was rooting for SPELIVIA, but something told me at the end of season 3, which is why I said certain things that I said, and I got so much hate for it. Like, the amount of hate that I got for it, I still think about to this day. It was ungodly, but they were not ready. They are not ready. And specifically, Olivia is not ready for the type of relationship that she said that she wanted. She said she wanted an honest, open, healthy relationship. And meanwhile, she has created attitudes and toxic habits within the same relationship that she was crying out for all last season. Make it make sense. And this isn't even just self-sabotage, because we've seen that this is a whole new level of what the hell and why. And Spencer, you need to run. You need to run, because your position within this relationship is demoralizing. It is distracting. And ultimately, the way that they have it set up now, it could be the reason why you never actually meet your goals. And I hate that for you. And I haven't said this all video, but I'm going to go ahead and say it now. I definitely want y'all to drop y'all's thoughts about the show in the comment section down below. But argue with y'all's mamas, because everything that I said, I thought about, and everything I'm saying, I mean. I said what I said. I am not afraid of my block button. And I am a little bit more cognizant of how I respond to some people, given that my platform is growing and I ain't trying to be out here embarrassing a lot of my little celebrity and storytelling friends. But come correct or don't come at all. I really don't know how we got here, y'all, because All American started out as a show about a young boy trying to make his way out of a messed up situation, being the environment that he came from in Crenshaw, with tons of violence and gangs and drugs, and really him charting a path of his way out to help himself and his family on the back of his football talent. And now it's become a show about ships, toxic ones at that. Yeah, I don't even really know what else to say. Like, literally, it's become a show about ships, and there's so much more story to be told. I think it's time for SPELIVIA to go its separate ways. I don't even know how their friendship progresses after this. In watching how Olivia has behaved in this relationship, I don't know if they can go back to the purity that was their friendship, given the antics of season 3 and then the antics of season 4 and the constant need for Spencer to be the apologetic one. I mean, the writers can write however, right? But I don't see how Spencer never gets fed up. But I guess we're going to see. Moving on too, because you know this is a show about ships now. The JORDAYLA ship set sail last night, and so many of y'all were so happy about that, and all I could do was cringe. I hate it for Layla. I don't think that it's a step forward or up. If anything, it's a lateral move. In the matter of 2 episodes, they have been able to undo all of what I thought was really great character development and growth on Jordan's behalf. And I don't know, like, aside from the light-skinned love and how these are 2 very, very attractive people getting together, I really don't know what y'all are looking for within this relationship that would be different from what their friendship was. It's given SPELIVIA 2.0, and we see how that turned out. And then, and for nothing else, I feel like Layla, out of all of the characters, would have learned by now that you can have romantic feelings for someone, or you can have a connection or a tingling, but it doesn't mean that you have to act on it with every single person. Putting aside the fact that she slept with multiple people within this friend group, right? And it really definitely feels like she's being passed around. The number one lesson I feel like there was for her to learn, I feel like she hasn't learned it, and she hasn't learned it in making the decision to give in. And I'm saying give in, I'm using these words very wisely, because that's exactly what she chooses to do in this episode, and giving in to Jordan's advances. Now, the thing that I'm not going to put aside is how they have Jordan out here acting as if Simone Hicks never existed, as if his feelings for Simone never even mattered, as if this man wasn't trying to be her surrogate baby daddy, like, and Captain Save a Simone. Like, Jordan in these most recent episodes is utterly disgusting that it's laughable. It's so appalling. It's so very appalling. And a lot of the choices that I feel like Michael as the actor has made felt very true to the same choices that we saw in the Vegas episode, and like how loving and nurturing and caring that he was for Simone in those ways. So it looks exactly the same. I don't know if I really buy into like, they're gonna have to give me something. I don't know if I buy into Jordan just now being head over heels in love with Simone. I would love it if this storyline expands to a place of he just transferred these feelings because he doesn't know what to do with all of the feelings and love that he had for Simone, and now he's just placing it into Layla because it feels a little bit like home and it feels comfortable, and he really hasn't really unpacked or dealt with the emotions of the rejection, of the breakup and all of that. Then like maybe we can muddle some things together and pull a strong nuanced storyline out of that. But the fact that Jordan has completely forgot about Simone this quick, and is this deep, and is this active in applying pressure on Layla, it is appalling, truly appalling. And I'm not here for it at all. Y'all, I'm pushing on 40 minutes at this point, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. I did go live, and that was a 4-hour live, so go ahead and check that out if you're looking for more of my thoughts on the episode as a whole in reference to initial reactions. I would love for you to go ahead and check that out, and you could also get some feedback from other subbies who came on live and talked with me about the episode. I don't have a rating for the episode. I am leaving episode 20 from season 4 very deflated. I don't know where we're going. I don't know. Actually, I know some of the pieces of where we're going. I don't know if I care that we're going there. The fact that Olivia by the end of this season has teamed up with Wade is beyond me. And I honestly don't care what this head coach did, because the assistant coach could step up, but they're probably going to find a way to parlay this into Billy getting a job. And I also don't care about that for him. I don't care that Spencer is going to remain hat in hand begging for Olivia to not walk away or release this relationship. Meanwhile, her foot is one step out the door already, and she's more focused on this one story and this one point in time than her actual relationships with her boyfriend and her family. I don't know if I care about Olivia's reckless abandonment for everybody else's feelings and perspective in the pursuit of this story for all the aforementioned things. I don't know if I care about Billy and what he got to do next. Like, I don't know where we're going in some ways, but I also don't care about the things that we do know. But, you know, feel free to tell me what y'all think next season is going to give. Maybe some JORDAYLA at the park, kissing on each other and whatnot. Clay is now taking over JP's record label, and Layla gets all deflated because she thought that he was going to hand it over to her after she spent all that time making sure that he knew that she wanted to be a completely separate entity and she wanted nothing to do with his label. Yeah, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. And if you came here for answers, I apologize that I can't give you any. All I got is thoughts, feelings, and my perspective. I hope that you enjoyed. Hit the subscribe button, because as I process this a little bit more and sit with some of my feelings, I will be coming with specific subject and plot point videos, so that we'll deep dive on those and you don't want to miss it. So hit the subscribe button. Give this video a like. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I'm gonna need you to put 4 football emojis in your comment so that I know that you're a real one, and I have to respond to your comment. Like 100%. 4 football emojis in your comment will get a response from me for this video. Make sure that y'all keep it cute. And I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye.